What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Firstly, I want to thank you guys so much for all of the support on the BMW 700 t-shirt drop. That sold out in about 15 minutes. And I was actually worried that doing 50 shirts weren't going to sell out. The last couple of drops, we've done 25 and 30, and they've sold out pretty quickly. So I kind of rolled the dice and thought, you know what, maybe we'll do 50 this time. And within 1 hour, they were all gone. 40 sold in the first 5 minutes that they went live. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you may have seen I did a 2-hour Instagram live the other night while I was making all of the custom hang tags that will be included with every single one of your BMW 700 shirt orders. These I made here in the shop. My friend Rafe actually designed the hang tag for me. He sent me the file. Then I mirror laser engraved it into some rubber and made my own homemade rubber stamp, and they came out so sick. They're, I think, my favorite thing I've ever made with the laser machine. So if you ordered a BMW 700 shirt, you will receive one of these attached to your shirt. And what we did was we left some open text fields to talk about your shirt individually. What size you ordered, I'll fill that out. What number out of 50 in the drop your shirt was and what order it was, and then inspect it for quality buy, and I'll initial it there. So it really kind of feels like a vintage clothing label. We're starting this episode with shop infrastructure, I guess we could call it. Like, this episode is going to be all about the growth of the shop, and that starts with PrimeWeld. You guys saw at the beginning of the episode this care package that got dropped off. I had no idea how big this was going to be. PrimeWeld has come on as a massive support system for the shop here in the last couple of years. We've got their Cut 50 underneath the welder here. This is the handheld unit, a workhorse of a unit. This thing cost me like $260 shipped to my door, and this will cut 1/2-inch steel when plugged into 220 power. 1/2-inch steel, $250, $260. Unbelievable. And yes, hopefully in this episode, we are turning this thing on for the first time and cutting steel with the CNC table. But as most of you guys know, that is powered by PrimeWeld's Cut 60 unit, which they sent me about 1.5 years ago or so. That is what justified pulling the trigger on a table. I already had their Cut 50 as my handheld unit. So hopefully before the end of this episode, we're actually cutting steel with this. I've got everything ready. I've got the torch harness made and pinned. So that goes to the Cut 60 unit. We'll talk about all this a little bit later, but everything's literally ready to go. I've even got all my coolant and water in here. Almost ready to press play on this thing, and ran into some software issues. So I've got another computer coming today that's going to be dedicated solely to this table. That is out for delivery as we speak. Let's talk about what PrimeWeld sent this time. We're gonna unbox this. We'll talk a little bit about it. Okay, so there's a ton of really good product reviews on YouTube, especially for PrimeWeld. I've watched a lot of them. So this isn't going to be a product review episode, but we're gonna unbox it and we're gonna talk about it. So PrimeWeld is known for its incredible packaging. And I mean, as you guys can see, it's a wooden crate and there's a cardboard box inside it. Wow, and there's like metal tabs inside here that keep the cardboard box contained. When I first open it, we have what I thought was all they were sending me. Shop banners. This is the 5x3, I think? Yeah, okay. We'll find a good place for these here in the shop. Nice. What we have inside this box is not just shop banners, and I'm trying to figure out how we go about this. Here we go. Oh my goodness, that's heavy. Wow-wee. Come on. Oh, please. Here we go. Okay. What we have here, guys, is PrimeWeld's 325X TIG welder. So since this is not a product review video, I'm not even ready to use this TIG welder. I didn't even know this thing was going to be here this week. So I don't have any other elements to even use it today. But what I think is really cool, aside from the fact that PrimeWeld has been such a huge supporter of the shop, is the fact that I haven't really dove into the world of TIG welding yet. Growing up in my father's shop, all he had was MIG welders, and he was the first person in the central New Hampshire area back in the late 70s, early 80s to have a pipe bender, to do custom exhaust work. So I grew up MIG welding, and that's all I've ever done. But the fact that this is my first TIG welder and I'm going to learn on it. You guys will be able to see my potential growth with a TIG welder here on this channel with this PrimeWeld 325X. And I just spent the last hour or so unboxing this. This just got delivered. Won't even read my network here, my Wi-Fi network. So I went upstairs, plugged it directly into the router. So downloaded SheetCam, as you can see here, and downloaded Fire Control, which is the program that actually runs the CNC table. But what I didn't realize was the CNC table, the Fire Control, won't read DXF files. It only reads G code. And everything I design on my laser machine, on my laser cutter and laser engraver, is DXF. So I don't have any program that writes or reads G code. So I had to download SheetCam, because SheetCam will convert a DXF to G code. Now, I've never used SheetCam, so I've been watching some tutorials, and I just got these licensed, purchased, and on the computer. I gotta watch a few more tutorials to understand how to make my lead-in paths, how to do my inner cuts first, and then my outer cut last. That theory I kind of understand through the laser machine, because you wanna cut all of your inside stuff first to avoid drops and moving material and whatnot. All right, guys, it is 10 o'clock p.m. Been putting myself down a crash course of how to learn SheetCam. And if any of you guys know how to use SheetCam, you probably know it took you quite a while to learn, or maybe you even went to school for it. So all afternoon, all evening, into the night, I've been watching tutorial videos on YouTube on how to load tooling, how to build tools, how to build jobs, post processors, all that stuff in SheetCam. And all of this stuff is new to me. I knew nothing of this 6 hours ago. Now, I still have a lot to learn about Fire Control. I'm kind of coming into this as if you played bass guitar your whole life and now you're trying to play a regular guitar. There's some stuff translates, but not a lot. We haven't tested the torch harness that I had to wire into the pin plug that goes into the back of the PrimeWeld Cut 60. So tomorrow morning, we'll fire the air compressor up, we'll fire the PrimeWeld Cut 60 up, and we'll take this thing from a dry run to an actual cut run. And we'll see if this thing actually cuts out. That'll be the first thing we cut on this machine, finally. I mean, I feel like it's been forever. This machine sat on the floor here in the shop in boxes for a couple of months before we even finally built the table. And then after that was done, it was a while before I got to actually building the torch harness to the Cut 60. So we'll pick back up in the morning, and hopefully we're finally CNC cutting some steel in this shop. All right, so next morning, getting the plasma cutter set up now. So we got the Cut 60 on, set the air, which we're cutting 3/16 steel. So the manual says you want 60 PSI, 45 amps. So I already have the digital readout to 45 amps. You toggle your switch up to set the air, pull your toggle out on the actual setting. And as you can see, I can dial more PSI and less PSI. So we're gonna dial that into about 60 and then lock this in. And now we're set at 60 PSI, 45 amps. So I feel like I've triple checked everything. All right, I guess we just hit start. Air's on, plasma cutter's on. Run program. I mean, it cut. It cut. I can run that post flow down a little bit. Well, it cut and it fired.
Yeah, it didn't fully cut off the bottom of the L either under the torch. It's not fully.
Oh yeah, I wonder what that's all about. All right, so as you can see, I've moved to a much simpler piece to cut out now. It's literally just a plate with 2 3/8 holes in it. I tried one that was a little bit more intricate with 4 holes, but as you can see, I'm dealing with lead-in issues. Dove into the SheetCam tutorial videos, redesigned this plate, and I've messed with pierce delay settings. Now you can do that in SheetCam, but you can also, it looks like in Fire Control, you can also mess with pierce delay overrides, which I haven't messed with yet, but this will be great. I've learned all of this for the first time last night and this morning. I just did a dry run and it looks like it's stopping before it does each operation or each cut operation, which means it should stop fire before it starts taking off, because what's happening here in the L in the plate is it's taken off on that path before it has a chance to pierce, and it's already halfway through that circle before it's actually fired. that was the ticket. Oh, yeah. All right, so this is officially the first part that's been successfully cut out by the machine. So cutting through 3/16, I mean, that is just the smoothest cut ever. All right, so I figured out a few of the issues I was having and was able to cut this script L out of that 3/16 plate, and it's looking pretty good. I put it in the vise, cleaned it up with a flap wheel. You can see where some of my lead in, lead out notches are. But here's the thing, and I need to remember this. I've been working with a laser machine with soft mediums for about 8 years, and I am used to seeing the precision quality that a laser can do in acrylics, wood, and leather. Kerf of the laser is so minuscule compared to the kerf of a plasma cutter. All right, so we got a ton more packages in today that we'll be using in the next couple of episodes, but the most important of those is the BMW 700 shirts have arrived. Now, as I told you guys before, my friend Dustin Williams made these in-house. His brand is Okie Doke brand. The Instagram handle is on the screen. He's a good friend of mine, and he just started printing shirts in-house. This is so sick. So we did a halftone print. This is a photo that Rafe himself took.
I didn't even realize that this was supposed to look like the brick that was behind, like that was a wall back there.
So these are in way earlier than expected. But as you guys already saw, we've got the hang tags all made. All right, so to commemorate the BMW 700 shirt, I've decided that with the CNC plasma table, the first job it's actually going to do is going to be right now. I want to do something with the machine for this episode, just to feel like we did something other than just show you guys what's going on here. So what I want to do is I've got more than one, but I've got one of the original 12 by 3.5 inch wide BMW 700 wheels. They are crazy. 3.5 wide by 12 inch diameter, and somehow miraculously I have all 4 of the original hubcaps with the old BMW logo in them. And it's a 4x100 wheel, which is crazy. 1960 Germany. The Auto Union 1960 is also a 4x100 car from the factory. So what I think I want to do, and I've had this in my head for quite a while now, is I want to replace this awful looking plastic hose reel, which is right here in the middle of the shop between the two bays. And I want to use the BMW 700 wheel. All right, so I made a cardboard pre-pro design, and that's roughly what it's going to look like. This will mount to the wall. This will stand off and actually go up as well to help keep some strength for the weight of the wheel and the weight of the hose on the reel. This one has the larger holes, which I will weld lug nuts to the back of so I can run lug bolts through it on the outside of the wheel to hold them together. I've put my brand new fresh knowledge to the test. Put it through sheet cam, converted it from DXF to G-code, and here we are now in fire control. I just did a dry run to make sure it would fit. This is a piece of 1/8 inch steel. It's like 48 inch by 6 inch tall or so. So I made sure I nested all my pieces to only be about 5 inches tall, so I haven't gone off my plate here. I could just start with a few things, but I feel like I've got my pierce delay right. I feel like I've got my feeds right, just to basically build something. All right, here we go. First actual job. We've got 4 parts with numerous operations. Come on. All right, guys, well, we got all the pieces cut out. We've got the plate that'll go against the wall with some small holes that'll take some masonry bits that'll hold it to the cinder block. We'll weld these standoffs right to that base plate, like so. And then this plate will get welded to the standoffs. And these have a 5/8 hole in them that these lug nuts will go behind, like so. and I'll weld them into the back, and then we'll actually use a lug bolt that'll go through the wheel and into the threaded port of the plate that'll hold the wheel. And this is literally being designed as I'm filming this. I'm just winging this together. Well, I would say that that will work. And it is on there. That is quite sturdy. I feel like this was a really cool turn in the episode to actually make something I've wanted to do in the shop for a while. And being the first day that the table was running, actually making something that brought value to the shop. Well, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. Super excited to have finally got that CNC table working and get a project done with it. I'm so happy that this thing is finally lighting fire and cutting some parts. I've got some more dialing in to do, plenty more to learn about it, but the fact that we're cutting is huge. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching. We have so much more coming in the next couple of episodes. We've got a lot of parts that are in now for the 1000 SP. We've got the dual carb setup, so many other drivetrain parts. We're going to be putting those on next and getting the 64 Beetle put back together, back on the road. So I want to say thank you once again to PrimeWeld for not just sponsoring this video, but helping the shop grow in a massive way. I'm so excited to dive into this, to learn how to TIG weld. I'm going to bring you guys along with me. It's going to be a long road, I'm sure, but I'm excited nonetheless. Thank you guys so much for all of the support on the BMW 700 shirt drop. We're going to be getting these right out to you guys by the end of the weekend. That's it. I'm feeling super grateful for all of your support, for you guys just watching, all you guys over on the Patreon. You're a huge, huge support system for me and the shop and this YouTube channel. Hope you guys are well. We will see you in the next episode.